Now, from New York, you are listening to Extra Time. I'm Andrew Wiebe with my partners in soccer, Matt Doyle, David Goss, Dr. Tom Boger. What's up, guys? Monday is here. We can talk about the NBA. We can talk about the NFL.
We don't have to talk about
MLS.
the NFL. No,
we can. Brandon Aubrey, man.
We don't have to talk
Former
about the NFL.
MLSer.
Yeah.
Combine disappointment, but
yeah. Was that
National
LA,
Football
was that
League
an
Dallas
LA
Cowboy kicker?
Orlando
Yes, that was in Carson. I remember it vividly.
Mm.
It was a tough one for Brandon Aubrey.
Well, he made a couple of field goals, right?
He did, yeah.
But he missed a couple extra points.
Did he?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I was here to build up Brandon Aubrey, and I didn't realize he missed the gimmies.
Well,
congratulations to him, though.
He was on the team that won 40-0 or lost 40-0?
Yeah,
well, I think
one?
they won.
Okay, so
they
he
won.
did good.
Yeah.
Let's
They
ask
won-
our
they won by a
native New
billion.
Jerseyan.
Yeah, they won by. That was tough. It was tough. It was a tough build up to that game as a Giants fan.
I wish you had gone, because if you had gone, you would have gotten home at like 2 a.m. in the rain. You would be so depleted right now. I'd feel worse for you. I'm still gonna crush
Did
you.
you
the
see?
rest of the
Did you
day.
see Tom's Instagram of him walking his dogs at like midnight last night? He's like, "This is better than watching the Giants."
No, they didn't want to talk about it. I stuck around for
It's
it.
truly poetic that Brandon Aubrey, a former MLSer, USL player, soccer player, becomes a kicker, can miss extra points against your team and
Don't
still
matter.
have his team blow yours
And
out.
it doesn't matter. Yeah, it doesn't even matter at all.
Just
And
like
that
it's a
hurt in the group
footnote.
chat because like you might not like that gave you even more reason to pay attention to the Giants losing 40-0.
Yeah.
So I don't follow the NFL at all, but I assume I know they moved extra points back.
Brandon
like
Aubrey
15
is
yards.
slated to win MVP this
So I know that's not true, but like, is his job already on the line because he missed a couple extra points?
Honestly, there are like this happens every couple of years. Like if
Yeah, but not if your team wins.
yeah, but like
They
if
would
he,
only
if,
like the
it's-
Bears have to do it when
like
their team loses.
will the Cowboys fan base?
if he misses an extra point next week, 100%, it'll be a thing.
But right now they're probably like, it's first
It's
game
fine.
yips.
Yeah.
He's got
Jitters,
it.
yeah, he's a Plano guy.
yeah,
Plano.
right. He is.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a local guy
Yeah,
to that. Well,
for
anyway,
sure.
congrats to him.
Yeah, it's yet another wonderful success story of an MLS player.
Josh Lambo,
yeah.
who's back around.
Wait, I'm
hanging out.
shocked that
I
more
saw Josh Lambo at draft.
MLSers,
sorry,
he's
All-Star.
everywhere now. He's
Yeah.
everywhere. He was at All-Star. He
Yeah.
was doing the skills challenge.
Yeah.
He's just like living this beautiful post-retirement life. He's like, I could have done this. I did that.
Well,
And
he
this-
also, no offense to Brandon Aubrey, he played in the U20 World Cup.
yeah, that's true.
That's cool.
Yeah.
If Brandon Aubrey had done that, it would be
Brandon
like, I did
Aubrey
both.
played in the ACC.
Yeah, he did. No, he played high level. TFC 2 as
Yeah.
well, which is known as one of the better teams in the world.
Anyway, congratulations to Brandon Aubrey. He's living his dreams. It's cool to see
Congratulations
him
to
do it.
Germany, world champions.
In basketball.
FIBA.
Oh, gotcha.
And then they fired
the Doyle's a student. Congratulations to Germany. Just a blanket statement.
I thought that was a reference
Economy's
for
doing well.
firing
Also,
their first ever manager. I was
First
like,
time
what?
in 123 years, the German national team has fired their manager.
Hansi
Hansi Flick
Flick.
was
know
let
that.
go after they got smashed by Japan this week.
That feels like one of those things, though, where it's like you come in a room and it's like, I'm going to quit when you see that they're about to fire you. Like,
Yeah.
it's considered
Right.
protocol.
Or like this is the first time in 123 years that Germany's actually
think
been
so?
bad.
What happened in 04? Klinsmann took over and they did bad at Euros, or he took over after?
He took
that?
over after that, I think.
Things seem to be going well for him.
I
in
mean,
South Korea.
I think the previous manager who
Unreal stuff,
Yeah.
by the way. Klinsmann
Well,
didn't know
we'll
he
get to
had
that
to
in a second.
live in South Korea, apparently. Or he did know and he's just saying he
Can
did
I
it?
take the choppa from Southern California?
South Korean fans have done a speed run through like every
The whole
emotion,
experience?
the whole
Yeah,
Jurgen
boy.
Klinsmann
The 8
experience.
stages.
And it's been 8 months?
Yeah, I think he's
Shows
coached
you
5 games.
How relatively patient Americans were with that.
He scheduled South Korea's national team camp in London instead of in Wales. They were playing in Wales. He scheduled it in London because he wanted to play in the Chelsea versus Bayern Legends
Sick.
friendly.
Nice. With
So-
Gianfranco Zola, I scored a goal in that.
And South Korea, if I'm not mistaken, I don't believe South Korea has won a game with Jurgen
No.
Klinsmann as manager.
It's also
yet.
not very hard to get from London to Wales. Let's just
It
throw
was
that.
40
in
60
defense of Jurgen
yeah.
Klinsmann from David Goss, didn't see that one coming.
You
on.
wouldn't-
Just
you wouldn't-
saying.
No, if you were going to play in New York, you wouldn't schedule your camp in Boston.
I wouldn't do anything in Boston. If I was playing in Boston, I would schedule my camp in New York.
Except spend 4 years of your life.
Well, that wasn't optional.
Oh, I got choked on that one. Woo! Anyway, there are 5 MLS games this weekend. That's why we're still sitting around talking about Jurgen Klinsmann in South Korea. We can get into it. You want to?
No, we don't have to.
Okay.
Wait, you meant no MLS? Yeah, let's. do it.
No. In the meantime, though, I just wanted to, Tom, are you jealous of
That is
the
delightful.
leisure shirt that Orlando City sent me?
Since I got into that, I've just been staring at it.
Shout out to Josh Gumble. I got the Orlando City bowling shirt, and I'm very proud of it. So now that we've got that out of the way, best thing we saw on Matchday 31. Get us started, Doyle.
Sam Adeniran and Aziel Jackson balling out for St. Louis City. Now, they only got a 2-2 draw. Adeniran did get a red card, which contributed to that. But look, Bradley Cardinell is going to win Coach of the Year deservedly for a lot of reasons. And having an expansion team still first place in the West, probably going to take first place, although they haven't been great over the past couple of months, but probably still going to get there. Having done that without João Klaus, who's back, by the way, and scored his first goal in months this weekend. But also having developed kind of the cast-offs and spare parts that other teams didn't necessarily rate. Earlier in the year, it was Jared Stroud. Throughout the season, especially once João Klaus went down, it was Nico Gioacchini, who, I mean, Oscar Pareja is one of the great developers and talent in league history, and Orlando City had no use for this kid. He's got 10 goals for St. Louis
Imagine
City.
if their frontline rotation, instead of Kara, who's now obviously gone, was Big Dunk
and
Gioacchini
Gioacchini
with different sort of profiles.
Yeah.
And, imagine.
Not for a sidebar, but I think Gioacchini just fits St. Louis's system.
He does.
better
I
anyway.
think he's
So,
I think he's a second forward. He works better in a 2.
and like the way that they play as well versus like how Orlando. Are trying
But
to
then
play.
Gioacchini got hurt a couple of weeks ago. That opened the door for Adeniran, who had been giving them good minutes. He's now got 7 goals
Bangers.
on this season.
Mostly bangers.
Mostly bangers. And then Aziel Jackson, who I guess we should have known, right? And I'll put my hand up and say I slept on this kid who was by far the leading chance creator in MLS Next Pro last year. Never got a real look with Minnesota United. Probably wasn't going to get one there. Minnesota United fans continue to be up in arms about the fact that he was traded for a bag of balls, basically, and he's been excellent.
There's just no. Minnesota has such a robust youth pipeline that where are you going to fit him? You know,
They started Hassani Dotson, who's a very good central midfielder, on the wing this weekend. I like Bradley Cardinell, Lutz Van den Steel. I think we all had our doubts to one degree or another. It's hard to imagine them doing a better job this first season and going on the road and getting a point in this game against a desperate Galaxy team that's been playing pretty well, really. That was really well done from St. Louis.
Can I just say we have to give John Hackworth credit there too?
Absolutely.
'Cause,
100%.
like, when you start to talk about the brain trust between Carnell and then obviously with Lutz, but Hack was brought in to basically be the guy that could scout the entirety of the U.S. system and execute this vision of, hey, let's go find sort of, as you said, kindly the spare parts. But if you want to go through those, I mean, what? Bartlett was one.
Yep.
John Nelson was sort of one. Then we got time with Cincinnati last year.
now Markinich, by the way.
Markinich has
for
been
sure.
wonderful.
Yeah.
Yep.
Kyle Hibert.
Yeah,
Yeah.
He was the biggest.
I agree.
Jake Nowinski, like anybody
Stroud.
could have had him in free agency. Like Vancouver, he's been honest about it. It's like he's like, I wanted to just play right back. I'm a right back, and like that's why I went to St. Louis. And like you just go down the
Vasilev
list.
was sort of that.
Indy Vasilev has been huge for them this year. His an all energy number 8.
Remember when we kind of laughed about either Carnell or Lutz said that like, oh, he can play as a 6, 8, or 10, and we were all like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
And he can. Like,
Don't say we were all. Don't we were all us on that.
I think that was
David's
we
been
were
a
all.
big Indy Vasilev.
I said
guy.
Indy Vasilev is the best center mid in the American system, and I said it day one. I never said that,
Since his days at Aston Villa.
but it felt very Latif, right? Of like bringing a player from a different system,
David's
a different
a
team.
big Aston Villa fan.
For sure.
Yeah, up the villains.
Yeah. I mean, even Joe Klaus the dude was just a lone army
Yep.
guy throughout Europe.
Yep.
So there's a moment in this
incredible.
game where Klaus comes out wide, picks up the ball on the sideline, and tries to like play someone through, and they lose it. And the Galaxy then start to play through the other way, and Klaus runs down. I think it was Delgado from behind, from the sideline across the field. He's just playing to the right back. It's not like a goal-scoring moment. And Klaus runs like 40 yards and then slide tackles. And it's like, yeah, he fits. And they found the guys that fit. And it's exciting to see him back because I think the goal he scored was very Klaus of like, it's all of a sudden a dangerous moment and he's ready and he takes advantage. And as good as they've been, I think you pointed out the numbers specifically on the show last week.
They're like 9-13-3 since that 5-0 start. So I don't think they're going to tear through the playoffs in the Western Conference.
But having him back gives you more confidence.
Absolutely. And having the depth that they have up top, it's absurd. Between, Klaus is only 26, Adeniran's 24. Boy, would the Sounders love to have him back. And Joaquini's, I think, 22 or 23. And like none of them, well, Adeniran you could see getting the type of interest that maybe St. Louis would flip him either within the league.
It seems like Ozil's getting that interest too, quietly. Yeah. I don't know.
Does not seem quiet. We've heard for 3 months that he's being talked about.
Yeah, somebody's agent.
I don't know.
His agent. But that run he makes on the Klaus goal, he just is that Douglas Costa? He just basically shoves off.
Yep.
Costa's actually been trying defensively.
Yeah.
And he was back from injury, but he's actually been trying.
He has.
Hard.
He has.
We should throw him a parade. That's fantastic. That's incredible. He's trying to defend a little bit.
It's an incredible
he cares about his job.
Transition run. Can we also talk about the Leuven pass to Stroud for the first goal, but then also the Galaxy just being like, flip the off switch defensively. Let's all just watch this happen. Yeah. Unreal. Anyway, we'll get into more of this. Do you want to jump in before we... If you want to have a list here, or at least a pairing before I go to you, you big Sharpie guy, right?
Yeah, if we're talking
Proper
Galaxy,
mate.
Obviously my mate Sharpie comes in, makes contact with the goalkeeper 3 times on a 50-50 challenge, and then nicks a goal. That's my boy. You know what I mean? That's why when you're down at the park on a Saturday, you want Sharpie on your side. And he said in the post-game press conference, he said his mates at the Galaxy had told him LAFC El Tráfico would be intense. Billy Sharpie's ready.
Yeah, he is ready. Is he the sort of guy that, like, in the pregame warm-ups,
he's got better numbers
he goes to the 6-yard box and he just starts, like, tearing it up just to make it feel a little bit more like the Champo?
Yeah.
Just
rip it up.
Just rip. You know what? The goalkeeper's not going to be comfortable, but Billy Sharp is used to a little bit rough sod, so to speak.
He has this, like, bag thing, and when you crack it, it just smells like mashed peas. And then he goes and brings it around the field. So
David's doing a bit here, but I've seen David play soccer, and he basically plays soccer like Billy Sharp.
Billy Sharpie, baby.
I mean, it was a great goal.
Hold on, and a semi-serious point of the back of this. Like, when I broke the news of Sharp signing, I got texts from people around the league, and a lot of fans were like, why would they do this? This is so stupid. Why didn't they bring in somebody better? It's a 4-month contract for essentially a backup striker. And I was like, what? There's no risk here. Like, well, who cares?
It's also,
and he's been good.
He's been very good. And it's also the profile of the guy, like, not from England, but like, I feel every Liga MX team that's knocked off an MLS team in Champions League over the past dozen years has had a 35-year-old
100%.
grinder, usually from South America, not from England, but like Sharp is basically that profile. And if you're the Galaxy and you're getting this kind of, like, if he's fine being a 20-minute super sub, this guy is going to be back in Carson next year, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. Imagine this from Billy Sharp's point of view. He's been slogging around the Champo for how long? He's in
Don't make it sound
LA.
So bad, by the way.
It's not that bad, but it's not LA.
It's making millions of dollars.
All right.
Do you think
is
he's
Bristol LA?
Do you think
No, but he's 35 years old and he's in LA. He's like, this is cool. I'm playing with Ricky Puig.
Do you think
it's probably not cloudy enough for him
surfing this offseason?
They're probably like, it's so boring here. What do we do?
Oh.
Yeah.
When does it rain?
Yeah. Anyway, Billy Sharp. Nice goal. 2-2 draw. We'll dig into that more. Dave, what's the best thing you saw?
Was it not Billy Sharp?
No. It couldn't be. It can't be.
I'll go Portland Timbers against, beating LAFC. I don't know, 3 weeks after we said their season was done. They kind of seem to bounce back and have a win every time we count them out. Specifically, the second goal, the movement, the flow, but specifically Evander starting it with that touch. And there was maybe 10 different moments in this game where he had something like that of effortless to mega player or flick someone on. And there's been some really bad moments for him. Just, I think we talked about it, brain farts that have lost them games, including the game against Tigres in Leagues Cup, which could have been a potential trophy run. But you can see why they signed him. And one of the things that I was thinking about was, like, think about Lucho Acosta, right? Like 5 years ago, right as Lucharu happened.
Before the Lucharu, yeah.
But he had skill and talent.
Yep.
We never saw it produce. He wasn't going to carry a team. Evander's farther along already at a younger age in a team that's built around him. I don't know what the future is for Portland. There's a lot of chaos. There's a lot of confusion. But when he's on, he's fun to watch. And he's a different style of player. Maybe you could say Blanco in moments, but I think than Portland's ever pretty much had in MLS.
Portland 1 point behind the playoff line, 33 points. Dallas,
But more
who they're
games played.
chasing, have 2 games in hand.
Right.
Austin, who's directly in front of them on 33 points, they're 27 games played, so they have a game.
Have lost 3 of 4, haven't won.
Have lost 3 of 4. San Jose, who we'll get to in a bit, they've played 28 games, so the same number of games as Portland, 4 points ahead, 37 points.
Haven't won in 4.
Minnesota, 27 games played, 37 points.
Can't win at home.
Is anybody in the West good? It felt LAFC get the buy into.
I was going to save this combo. We can do it now.
Let's do it now. LAFC,
I phrased it as, does the West suck? it might.
What a wordsmith.
It might.
LAFC gets the buy into the round of 32 for Leagues Cup. And we all said, this is what they need. They have played a million games. They look dead. They don't have their legs. They get the time off. They come out in the first game. Who did they smash?
They smashed Juarez.
They smashed Juarez. Second game, they go up 2-0 on Monterrey. And Bouanga's flying.
No, they beat RSL.
Yeah.
Beat RSL, that's right. Beat RSL 3-0.
Yeah.
And then, so 2 wins and the first half of that Monterey game. And it's like, everything's great. All right, LAFC are back. The young pieces they added this summer are giving them depth up top and in central midfield. Aaron Long, Giorgio Chiellini, they got the rest they needed. They're going to be the best team in the Western. LAFC have not won since that RSL game, I think.
3 straight losses in the league.
Three
It's
straight
now, I
losses.
think, 4 wins in 15. I want to say that is since the CONCACAF Champions League final.
Probably including those.
They're on 40 points from 27 games played. They're going to make the playoffs,
Mhm.
right? Everything would have to go wrong for them, and like to a degree that we have not.
It would also rely on the teams below them actually picking up
Right.
points, which
Correct.
is just not happening.
going to happen.
But neither are the teams above them. Like as much credit as St. Louis deserve, as I said, they have a losing record since April, right? Over the past 5 months, they have a losing record all competitions. Seattle aren't going anywhere. I mean, I still think they're playing the best soccer of anyone in terms of controlling the game, but they're not.
Well, second best, because I think this whole thing is a wind up to Houston Dynamo MLS Cup champion.
I wasn't going to go there. But are they going to do the cup tunnel
on the show?
or double, or are they doing open
after they
cup?
win Open Cup in
I mean,
Miami.
this is the nightmare for every team in the West. If Houston can get in the top 4 spots and
They
get
get
some
to
home
play
field
well.
advantage. Ooh.
how annoyed do you think Nashville is right now? That this
Oh.
the year they left the West. Because last year they would have probably
Here's the
been
crazy
you
thing.
drop-
They're
if you-
7th in the East on their 40 points. They would be in a home playoff match in the first round in the West.
They'd be
Weeby,
tied
I'm
for
telling
third.
if we dropped Nashville into this Western Conference right now, I guarantee you 4 for 4, we would all be picking them to go to MLS Cup. It's really weird in the Western Conference right now. And LAFC in particular, they have it all in front of them, right? They have the opportunity to go back to back. And I think a month ago, it looked like they were going to take it. And it's just like the wheels have come off in such a massive way.
Is it just a bad timing moment between generations and roster turnover?
You talking about LAFC?
LAFC. Like, Bouanga is the shining light. You have that player, but he is often gone because he's still a crucial player for his national team. Vela's at the end of a contract and still can provide special moments, but doesn't do it consistently enough. There's no third fiddle. Like,
just to go
the
back to
midfield
something.
doesn't seem dominant anymore.
No.
The
Claudio
center back
Bravo.
pairing-
Well, Claudio Bravo scored that goal for Portland. Did not get beat by Vela a single time.
Yeah.
Like, that shouldn't be a reality. Bravo is a defensive liability, and Vela was one of the greats. And in this game without Bouanga, I didn't know Vela was. I didn't look at the lineup really and just turned on. I didn't know Vela was playing until like 25 minutes in. I was like, oh, it's Buick and someone else.
Yeah.
Like, that's how
It was
invisible it was.
Bogusz, yeah.
Yeah, Bogusz. Sorry,
But that's
one of the same.
But that's part of it. It's interchangeable of like, yeah, has good moments, doesn't have enough final product or danger to...
I think the drop-off in central midfield's been rough, but pulling out from LAFC and talking about the Western Conference, it's a lot of inconsistency that I was looking through and thinking like, well, it's a lot of first-year coaches, a lot of new projects. RSL, maybe you could call a new project, but it's not. They've not taken the step forward. Seattle have obviously not taken a step forward. Vancouver somewhat have. San Jose have stalled. Dallas have not taken a step forward. And Austin have clearly taken a step back. Those are the big ones from last year where when you look at the East outside of Montreal, everyone who took a step forward last year has continued.
Yeah.
Philly has sort of maintained. That's fine. But Cincinnati has obviously continued to push at the top of the Eastern Conference.
Columbus is better. Atlanta is better.
Revs bounce back.
I think Orlando's better.
Yeah.
So that's the part that's odd right now is it's a lot of clubs that are having a similar experience where there shouldn't be any, they shouldn't be related to each other. Like what's happening in Minnesota should have nothing to do with RSL. That's what's odd about the conference overall.
There are 5 teams in the East with better than 10 goal differential. 5. In the Western Conference, how many do you think there are?
There's one.
There's 1.
Yeah. It's St. Louis. Yeah.
Plus 18. Yeah, nutty.
And I think their goal differential is negative since mid-April.
And if they're going to be mad when I say this, but if you just look at overperformance on XG, which Austin fans will tell you doesn't matter, but it's
Austin
huge.
GM will tell you
it's
it matters.
Huge. Their overperformance this year, St. Louis is massive. It's by far the best in the league.
Yep.
I have to throw this out there because I'm required to. On points per game and then potentially on games in hand, Vancouver could jump to second in the Western Conference if they were to win their game in hand.
They're probably playing the best ball.
And they're one of those teams where it's like they are probably going to appreciate the way this conference is of like they'll finish top 4 because they're playing to their level.
Yeah.
And no one else is, even if they're not elite.
Yeah. And the other thing that they have going for them, they keep changing their formation so much. There's not a lot of tape on them playing the 3-5-2. There's just not. Like Vanni Sartini
3D chess is what
Vanni Sartini goes into every transfer window playing a different formation. Then he comes out of that window. Imagine shopping for this man.
Now listen, Vanni Sartini was the man who was the coaching trainer for a lot of the current managers in Major League Soccer.
Sure.
He knows them better
Sure.
than anyone else.
He's been planning for this forever.
Yes.
He's been giving bad lessons.
He's like, watch this. Watch this. Didn't tell him about the 3-5-2. Didn't show him how I'd play that. Anyway, we haven't talked Inter Miami. We should probably do that. Dr. Tom Bogert, take it away.
Yeah, the Sergio Busquets quick thinking assist on the free kick to Facundo Farias. I thought that was awesome. I think that's so much fun when...
Did that warm your Liverpool heart to see Sergio Busquets taking a quick free kick?
Yeah, I mean, I have just pleasant memories of Liverpool and Barcelona, so there's nothing bad here. It's not like Bucky Dent for like Red Sox fans or whatever. No, so the play happened where there was a foul or a handball. What was that?
Handball, yeah.
Handball. And Sporting Kansas City were arguing with the referee. Andreu Fontes was holding the ball.
By the way?
I think it was. Yeah, I think it was. It comes off his foot, and people will argue. We don't have to rehash.
Peter Vermees crashed Daniel Showey's press conference to say, "I just watched it. It was not." Or Fontes told me it wasn't a handball.
I mean,
all right, let's go back.
Yeah,
and
of course, Fontes told you. It was. He told Ismail Elfath it wasn't as well. Like Dave's told referees, and so have I on the field, many things that have been untrue. Like that doesn't mean.
I'm just having a conversation.
Yeah, like that doesn't mean anything.
So
like,
wild
he sticks his foot out to block a ball that he's being played around. He loses the ball. He's being played around. He sticks his foot out to try to intercept it. It hits the foot. To me, it hits the left hand as it comes through, and it's stopping a promising attack. So even though it comes off his foot, that's not considered a quote-unquote deliberate play, which a pass or a clearance would be. This is a block. It's an interception. That's not considered deliberate. I know IFAB's had some additional sort of guidance on handballs in those situations. So I think Elfath is 100% justified to call the handball. And either way, if you're Fontas, just don't turn off.
Well, he also... What's weird about it is he understands the moment in that he picks up the ball and holds it. So, like, he knows what he should be doing. He just does it poorly.
Yeah. So, as he's holding the ball, arguing with the referee, Sergio Busquets pokes the ball out, puts it down, and plays in through ball assist for breakaway goal. Like, it was like I was arguing with my athletic editor, Alexander Abnos, who's Kansas City native, like Andrew Wiebe. So he had that, the light blue version of this.
Except and it was like poisoned by fandom.
Well,
that's a joke, Alex. I'm sorry.
Well, the referee was still talking to him like that. That's unfair. They should. And like, I don't think that we should be finding new ways for there to be delays. Like, I understand kind of the point where the argument was, but like, I think the referee did everything right there. I think the blame has to go to Fontas if you're a Kansas City fan. And again, like, we should be promoting more moments like this in the game rather than him holding the ball over his head or throwing it away, like the new refereeing rules that'll go into play for MLS next year.
And that's an emphasis as well.
Yeah.
The players know that delay of games, if you throw the ball away to prevent a quick throw in, like, it's an automatic yellow card. We've seen players get sent off for that. Like, that is communicated. So I think the overall idea is like, hey, we want the ball in play. We want things going quickly. And in this case, it's not like Elfath calls over.
Yeah, that's
Fontas.
the point.
Yeah.
Elfath doesn't initiate the conversation where, like, when a ref goes and talks to someone, you can't restart.
Right,
because
and
the
that's
ref
understandable.
Has taken himself out of
100%.
the game. That's not what happened.
In fact, he's actually, you see his hand, he's saying, Johnny Russell, who's coming over, he's like, get out of here. No, we're not talking about this. As he turns, Fontas is in his face, and that's where Fontas gets a little bit loose with the ball. Ball security.
In
the fall.
Tiki Barber problems over here.
Get it in the tuck.
Do you think he's walking around in training holding the ball under his arm
probably.
like football players do?
Well, they got to send him to the tunnel.
His hand. They were like, you don't drop my football.
Right.
What's that? Fontas and Busquets, by the way, old teammates from Barcelona B. Yeah, 15
Peter
years ago.
Vermees is basically Barca.
Yeah,
right,
as
pretty
well.
much is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a three-person crew.
It's tough. And I understand, look, I get why Kansas City in that moment would be mad. Like, I'm not saying you guys can't be mad about this. You can't be frustrated about this. You can't think that maybe Ilfath in a different moment or a different world would have blown this dead. But if the situation is reversed, Sporting Kansas City are juiced and they're like, that was smart. We did that exactly right. I have no problem with it.
Just find it interesting. This is the second week in a row that Inter Miami have kind of exploited the inattention of a former Barcelona academy player. Well, Fontas wasn't academy. I think he came up through Girona and then he moved to Barcelona B. That was this week. Last week it was Palencia, the right back for LAFC. He falls asleep, and of course Jordi Alba makes that run on that great goal on the end of the through ball. I don't know. It just occurred to me. I have nowhere I'm not going anywhere with this. It just occurred to me.
Can I just throw in on top of this for SKC? I didn't think they were very good in this game, which has nothing to do with whether or not the call is right or wrong, which I think it is right. And you're going to feel, if that doesn't happen, that you have a chance to get back in down 2-1. The goal was a gift, obviously, from Calendar, and Calendar struggled in this game. I didn't think they were dangerous. I didn't think they created chances. And I was a little underwhelmed by the lack of possession.
Yeah.
Where they backed off. Why did they back off and let Miami control the game with the ball, which is what Miami wants to do?
It seemed bizarre, especially when I thought Farias was fine, but nowhere the threat in transition that Messi obviously is. And Campagna, that's not real. He's not going to go by himself, including the opening goal, where he's not going anywhere when Milia comes through the back of him.
No.
Like, Rosero's with him. He's going to, chest that down wide on the edge of the box?
And then play it to maybe Yedlin for a hope
doesn't
cross
matter.
and nobody in there because Campana's not in there.
And at that point, Inter Miami hadn't created a chance. So I thought a lot of what we saw good in the St. Louis game from KC went away in this one, and they didn't deserve the result. I think it's a huge damage to their potential playoff hopes of, like, everyone else was off. You've played more games. Fine. Win. Get above the playoff line. Make people chase you. It's inconsistent from them. And with everyone healthy, there's not an excuse.
I thought this weekend was huge. It was a quiet one, but it was huge in the sense of, to your point, like, while everyone's sleeping and don't have an opportunity to keep pace or to extend the gap, what do? And for Miami without Messi to win and to get the gap down to 6 points with basically nobody around that line playing particularly well. DC dropped 2 at home against San Jose. Massive weekend for Inter Miami. We'll dig in more on that. Best thing I saw, Dane St. Clair assist. Just playing to feet, just understanding in the box, just keep it moving. Late in the game in Minnesota, New England up 1-0. Dane St. Clair comes up. He finds Franco Fragapane's feet. Fragapane, a beautiful instinctive finish, like knows exactly where that back post is, takes a touch, curls it, goes full Lambo leap into the supporters section. I mean, just an incredible scene in Minnesota. Really, really special moment. So congratulations to Dane and Minnesota. I know they were pretty juiced about that one. Still not a win. Like, they still can't win at home. They have 3 wins at home for a team above the playoff line. And not even like in the fake playoff spots, 8 and 9, in a real one, number 7. That's unbelievable.
Is that the official language for?
That's how I think about it. I don't know. Anybody else can think about it however they want. But in the East, okay, again, it's hard to compare East. In the East, the lowest home win total in 1 through 7 is 6. Everybody else has 8 or more. They have 3. Makes no sense. But here they are. Anyway. All right.
It's like the bonding. They like going bowling when they're on the road.
We should go bowling.
They did have Bongi back in this one.
They
too.
did. Mm-hmm. That was big for him.
We picked Mender Garcia to score. He did start.
Yeah.
He did not score.
I was updated on your guys' picks. I think you got 1.
Oh, nice. We
Yeah,
got one. I feel good about that.
Yeah. So that's not bad. We'll try it again on Wednesday. All right, let's dig into Miami just a little bit more. Playoff gap to 6 points. It seems like they're gonna make it. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like 30%, 40% more convinced they're going to make it after what happened this weekend. Getting 3 points without Messi, it speaks to how deep they like. Look at that back line in midfield. That's the starting, and obviously Drake Callender as well. Like that's not just starting caliber. That's like high end starting caliber back line in midfield, and they just got enough out of that front three. I thought Campana was pretty good. Messi will come back. He banged home a free kick for Argentina. He also apparently had a little knock, which is obviously concerning.
I believe Scaloni called it fatigue.
Okay. So we'll see if he plays in La Paz, because that's where the next...
So let's fly to high altitude, play a short rest, then fly to another continent and play every, 2
who would
games a
play?
week.
Billy Sharp.
Sharpie. Yeah.
I would pay to watch Billy Sharp play in La Paz in a Coma Bowl qualifier. I absolutely would do.
He'd come out of it and be like, "Who knew?"
I would
Altitude. Who knew that La Paz was so high? And everyone else would be like, "We knew."
Mate, anyone else can't breathe.
Yeah.
Chicago have not
By
been
the way,
playing
Billy
well.
Sharp, we look forward to you coming on the show one day.
We truly love you.
Charlotte have not been playing well. NYCFC have not been playing well. Well, had been playing better with Maxi back. Maxi tore his ACL. He's gone.
Oh my God,
for
he
a
did.
year.
I completely missed that.
Yeah.
Yeah, he tore his ACL.
Brutal, man.
Red Bulls. Red Bulls in 13th, 29 points from 27 games. They control every game they play in. They do not have anyone who could put the ball in the back of the net. Maybe we'll talk about that later with the Natty Musovski segment that we have coming up. And that leaves Miami in...
Yeah. Let's go.
I mean, we did a Messi segment. We're
That's
going to
true.
do a Danny Musovski segment.
That's
And
right.
we did
UNLV
Billy Sharp first.
Yeah. UNLV, okay?
Miami have 28 points in 26 games played, so they have a game or two in hand on everybody that they're chasing,
But Charlotte,
other than Charlotte.
they play Charlotte twice.
They are 6 points back of DC United, who are in 9th place. 7th and 2 games in hand on DC. 7 points back of Montreal, who are in 8th place. 1 game in hand on Montreal. And they have the greatest player of all time coming back next weekend. And 6 other full internationals coming back next weekend. I don't see them coming up short at this point.
I think to me it falls now. I think they've gotten the points that I thought they might drop. The Nashville one a little bit different, but then they went and got the LAFC points. It falls to if DC and Montreal are going to drop the points.
And what do you think?
Yeah.
I trust Montreal, even if a tough schedule. DC's the question mark, which is like in a weird week, they've resuscitated themselves out of nowhere. Obviously, Teddy Pietro is the best player in the league.
He was awesome.
So with an MVP candidate, it's tough. They play at Charlotte. They host Atlanta and the Red Bulls. They go to Vancouver and Austin, and they finish with NYCFC. The schedule is not impossible for them if Benteke's in form and they're healthy.
Can you please do that in your Francesa voice?
Yeah,
but
win,
Benteke
loss.
played pretty well. Yeah, that's right. He played pretty
Mike,
well.
are you kidding me? At Charlotte? That's a win.
You say they resuscitated themselves, but then they just
Yeah, they gave up the...
they put themselves in cement boots, and you can't lose at home to San Jose.
Well,
They drew.
they lost points.
It felt
at home.
like a loss.
Yeah, it's a draw.
Kick saving a beauty.
That's right. It
Well
felt like a
recovered.
loss to me.
Foot fault.
Yeah.
We've had this conversation however many times, like during the Leagues Cup, and like I've been consistent from that. But like all of these teams around the playoff line, if I wanted to be polite, I could say have flaws or inconsistent, or I could just be honest and say all these teams stink down here. And it's like I don't trust Montreal or DC to run away from the line, and like that's what I was saying, a month and a half ago or whatever it is. And like Miami are one of the best teams in the league right now. They're
the best team in the league.
Yeah, and it's not just there's so much talent in this group, and it all fits together so well. it was the product of advanced planning and obviously great deal making and first and foremost Messi coming. But like, it's not just Messi. So they keep picking up points without him starting. They are so much better than all the teams around them. And if you want to rely on extremely flawed teams of Montreal, DC, Chicago, Charlotte, New York, like picking up points ahead of Miami, I don't see it, and I haven't seen it. And like, it's almost more likely that they would catch Nashville than it would that they missed the playoffs. It's
crazy.
What
the most classic thing about all this is I look through these teams. Chicago Fire had this opportunity. They started playing well. They lost 4 straight. it's like the most, it's just.
So I will once again say, I don't think Montreal is a part of this. In their last 5, they've won 3. They lost at NYCFC. And then they lost to Columbus at home, which was bad. But
what's
then, like,
the home road split here?
For them?
It's pretty good. It's pretty good. It's 4 home games. They're terrible on the road.
Yeah.
2 wins all year on the road.
Montreal's going to get into the playoffs.
At Atlanta,
so I think
at Orlando, at Columbus. Those are tough road games.
Yeah, so I think it's everyone fighting. Yeah, they are, but they're not impossible.
Sure.
They don't have to go to Cincinnati.
Sure.
Philly.
No, yeah, for sure. But they've lost 10 of 14 on the road this year.
Yeah. So I think to me it's DC and whoever else is sitting in there if they get enough points that Miami doesn't control their own destiny. So therefore,
are
you have
DC going to get Lucharude basically?
It would be wild if DC was the team this DC team was the one that
because they did it. Remember they were the ones that did it.
2018.
Yeah, when Rooney got there, we're like completely dead in the water.
That's why that amazing play against Orlando City, even though it was August, right?
Yeah.
Ben Olsen pulled the keeper and threw him up into the attack because a draw was not going to be good enough. They needed 3 points from that game. That's right. I forgot about that.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Diego Gomez hurt with Paraguay. So that's a little note, but it seems like they have the depth to.
Dixon Arroyo was phenomenal.
He's been great.
Game against KC. Yeah, this was maybe his best.
I mean, he's flitting between sort of the Rodrigo De Paul role where he's out there as Messi's bodyguard for half the time, or just like a deeper sort of like stopper, like almost like a classic stopper role where it's just like win the ball, progress the ball, do nothing else. And he's been great.
Yeah.
This comes again back to the planning and fit and maximizing the talent you have and understanding how it fits. This isn't just a collection of talent. Like, these are all complementary pieces. Like, and I think Gregory is going to be even better at this whenever he does come back from injury. Like, Dixon Arroyo might not be so great in another system or another team, but like, this is kind of a really great role for him. And again, it's just teams, when they're too short-sighted, they just start collecting talent or trying to make better deals or bring in good players. Or DC United, how many times have they changed systems, changed everything over the last few years? Like, when you have the idea in place and you're building your roster around it, you have a much higher floor and mistakes aren't as bad. They don't sink you. So a player like Dixon Arroyo could be overlooked, average, whatever, if you put him on another team. He fits really well in this Miami team and he's very important.
Stefanelli was even
it was a big
good
return from him.
Yeah.
Because he swapped in and out with Farias. Because again, none of them can do what Messi does, and in return, you got a little bit more motion in your attack and guys sort of picking up different positions, which I thought was big in this game because I think it kept Ndebe a little bit deeper because he wasn't really able to cheat as much trying to come inside and help. So yeah, Stefanelli, he's been out 3 months, 4 months. Yeah. That was a pretty good return for him.
And remember, they lost their starting left back Negri. He's like, I don't think he's coming back this year.
No, he's not.
And
Mota.
Mota is supposed to come back by the end of the year.
No, he was already back. Didn't he? He already came back.
You're
Mota's
right.
back?
Yeah,
I saw he started a game.
He started a game.
Where am I?
But now he's not on the bench.
Right. So he must have re-aggravated something. And like, do you remember the best defender on last year's team that made the playoffs, played every single minute? It's Christian McVeigh. They still have him. Like, they have an absurd amount of depth. They're going to do this. I thought going into 15 days ago when they had that run of at Nashville, or it was Nashville at home, at LAFC, and then Sporting Kansas City, who had been playing well, Sporting Kansas City without Messi and the other internationals. I circled that as like, this is where they're going to lose it. And it's going to be a furious fight to the finish for them, but they're going to come up just short because of that run of games. it's done. They took 7 points.
I think there's an element here too, like psychologically for both Miami and opponents of like, if the dream would have looked dead, all of a sudden you gain a little confidence in playing Miami and playing Messi. But if it feels alive and Messi's on the other side and you're playing with Messi and Busquets and Alba, you just sort of believe it's going to happen for you.
Yeah.
And I am a person that thinks the power of belief is super strong.
I can't believe they did
Purpose over here.
Oh, yeah. Do you know what? I found my purpose bracelet the other day. I'm about to start wearing the purpose bracelet.
We're back.
We are ready to go.
Is that why Inter Miami started winning?
Yeah. They found their purpose.
They found their purpose. At Atlanta will be interesting this weekend. Atlanta's just, since the transfer window, they've become a lot more stable, which they were not the first time they played against each other. Plus Messi coming from Bolivia after national team and whatever. Plus a number of other players coming back from national team. What does that look like? But there aren't a lot of games left now where you say like, this one's tough. Like that stretch, Nashville going to LAFC and then coming home to play SKC during the international window, as you said, that was the stretch.
Yep.
I mean, teams that will, I don't want to put teams that could and might fold. Toronto at home for Miami, New York City at home, at Chicago in front of a crowd that's going to be massive, but are going to be Miami people.
Yeah.
Cincinnati, no. Charlotte back-to-back to end the season. They've got fold written all over them.
Carol Swiderski, baby.
Like, what does Charlotte struggle with?
A lot.
Transition moments and understanding space.
So that was pre-Andrew Privet. You got to do AP. AAP and AP.
BCAP.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, gotcha. I mean, it's really just an incredible story. It's fun for us. I know that people listening, it might not be fun for you. Certainly it wasn't fun for Sporting Kansas City this weekend, but it's incredible. Doyle, your player of the weekend. Under the radar.
Under the radar player of the weekend. We have to revisit the Teddy KDP conversation that David and I and Stefano had last week. For those of you who did not listen to that, we praised the young man. I have him on my 22 under 22 list at the tail end of it. He's a 21-year-old winger / forward pure attacker who came through the DC United homegrown system, is a very dribbly boy. And he gave us one of the all-time great GA Cup highlights 5 or 6 years ago when he buried. That was with the 17s, I want to say, DC 17s.
Which, by the way, that team, absurd.
Yeah.
Kevin Paredes, Brian Kao, Griffin Yao, Moises Nineman in that one U17 team.
They had
absurd.
Really
Jalen Green, absurd.
He
wish I didn't know any of that.
Coup de Pietro in that one particular play. He did remember how Messi did Boateng in that famous dribble where he cuts left then cuts right and Boateng sort of spins and then just falls to his death. That happened to the South Korean defender. Coup de Pietro did. He never really got a look for U.S. youth national teams. I think he got a camp, but he never got a cap because his goal scoring was all 1v1 stuff. There was no real box arrival, no one-touch finishes. And as great as he was on the ball as an individual, he has never been considered a great passer, did not break lines. We said this on last week's show.
Yeah.
He went out and
he took that personally.
He took it real personal. He broke more lines in this game against San Jose. He had like 3 or 4 inch perfect through balls. He was also like splitting defenders, dropping into deep midfield to get on the ball, and then hitting those Dex McCarthy passes, like where it's like third line, right? You're not playing around, you're not playing back, you're playing right through the 2 defenders and like getting his number 10 on the ball in half spaces. He was the best player on the field in this game. It is a minor miracle that DC did not pull out a win in this one, though. Tip of the cap to Daniel, the Brazilian goalkeeper.
Absolutely amazing.
Phenomenal for San Jose.
Rodriguez had the shoulder clearance off the line from the Benteke ball too.
That's right.
Yeah, Pirani was like 6 inches offside.
That's right.
Yeah, it was tough.
There was a bunch of stuff like that. So this was a tough home draw for DC United, but between Teddy KDP and Pirani and Russell Canales has had a better year. They seem to have kind of a good core, and Kleek has been pretty good too in central midfield. They have a good core going forward, and Kude Pietro in particular, the way he has expanded his game this season, put up some box score numbers, moves the ball well. He is a starter for DC for as long as he's there. And oh, by the way, he is Olympic eligible. And if we're talking about the Olympics next year, and
which we're always talking about,
we're thinking about it, we're always obsessing over it.
Yeah.
And the European players are not going to be released, which is always a possibility because European teams are not compelled to release players for youth tournaments. Like I already mentioned, Aziel Jackson, he's another one who we could be thinking about for Paris 2024. But Teddy KDP, other than Brian Gutierrez, I think he's probably been the best Olympic eligible winger in MLS this year.
Tom, was he on your trash 22 under 22 list?
He just missed.
Okay, just checking. I just want to see if he was on his garbage list.
I learned.
Tom was so angry that no one else had put their list out.
You guys are mischaracterizing this.
Yeah.
This is joking in the group chat.
Long ago, I learned don't be the first to put out your 22 under 22 list. Always follow in the wake.
I was just being a leader, not a follower.
No, I
nobody followed.
that.
Yeah, it's exactly. It's like You walk point. You walk point. You got this. You got.
You take the
man.
hill.
Every time I look on my list, the moment I put it in, I go, "Who made this list?
Yeah.
This list is garbage."
In retrospect, I had Aiden Morris way too low, right? Because I was thinking about is this guy ever going to be sold for $12 million? No, but also he was the second best player in MLS Cup. Like how many players on that list will ever do that?
It's classic
right?
mental gymnastics as you're.
And I screwed up. I screwed up a
Yeah.
Pedro Vite. Pedro Vite absolutely should have been on my list. I think I had him 23rd, and it's like, no, he's the starting number 10 for a team that is, I think second in the league in goals scored.
Getting looks with Ecuador.
Getting looks with Ecuador. Yeah, I biffed that one as well.
But
these lists are tough.
But it speaks to sort of look, we didn't screw anything up worse than John Duran. So
I had him on my list last year. I'm
Ezra
just saying.
Hendrickson screwed that up.
I had
John
Duran
Duran
on my
had
vote last
0 minutes
Yeah.
at the time
That's
of
fair.
last year's balloting.
No, he didn't.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, he did. He didn't play until
So if you voted
July.
for him,
I know he was signed in the beginning of this. Like he was
well,
there.
he
the whole
signed
time.
a year and
Yeah,
a
I know.
half earlier. He played in Colombia,
but he didn't play in
for
MLS
Chicago.
the first half of last year.
Are you being literal or figurative? Like, are you saying he had 0 minutes?
No,
Because he didn't have zero.
He had like 150 minutes.
It was more than that. Regardless, I voted him on my list. So
I'm getting it. I'm getting
I'm
it.
All right.
taking myself out of this from you guys because some of us voted for John.
nobody
Duran.
remembers that. 2023 is all that matters.
I tried to bring up my ballot from last year to be like and make fun of myself. I had a couple ones like I was like, like that
When
didn't
do you
age
think
great.
the ballot was
And then-
voted on?
September 2nd was when
September 2nd?
last
It
year.
wasn't-
You know the
No.
date from last
because
year.
I found the tweet that I put out and then people were like, "What the hell? Why
Well,
don't
you
you
were-
have this person?" I was like, "This is last year's
You were
tweet."
down bad. You were down
what are you
bad.
talking
That's
about?
You were like looking up last year's to try to prove yourself right.
I was
We
not.
can't go-
I
we
was
can't
making
go
fun
deep.
of myself.
He had started like 5 MLS games at that point. You just got an eye, man.
Yeah.
No one has
Yeah.
your eye.
Yeah.
Do you work for the villains? Are you an Aston
Yeah,
Villa
yeah.
covert
Are
employee?
you there, people?
Yeah.
All right. Let's see. Big news over the weekend after the Revs draw against Minnesota. Do you want to dive into Minnesota real quick?
Not
Yes,
really.
but I want to add one more thing. We on our last show, David, we made a list of players who have been sold out of MLS in the past year who would have been in the top 5. John Duran, obviously number 1 on that list. We forgot to mention Jaden Nelson. He's been awesome for Rosenborg since
Big Rosenberg guy.
yeah, a big Norwegian soccer guy.
Cramming the tape.
Bob Bradley's back over there. So yeah, just another one, and I think Rosenborg's back in Champions League. I think.
Why are you looking at me?
Was I supposed to bring the Rosenborg stuff today? You don't have a computer, so you're out to sea
All
right
he has
now.
is the standings. That's why
You're-
he
you're
keeps on
more
reading the
worldly than I
standings
am.
on his iPad. That's all he's got.
Yeah, I'm worldly, but I don't focus on
What-
scandals.
all right, so-
Well, it's been a tough elite Syrian
Okay,
for Rosenborg.
they're not the
in the ninth.
juggernaut that they used to be.
They're in
They're
ninth
ninth.
right
Okay.
now. Yeah.
Obviously, the provincial club Bodo Glimt putting it together once again.
Staubach has games in hand for Bob to work with. I'm just throwing it out
nice.
there. Yeah, they are only 2 points shy of the drop. We'll get to that in a second here. Bob
What
Bradley,
is there to
back
say about
Norway.
Minnesota United?
I don't know. Christopher Alfby says, how has Minnesota built a fortress at home but forgot to bring the weapons, so it's just draws?
So they're a team that is primarily dangerous when they play against the ball. When you play on the road in MLS, almost every team in the league says, no, home team, you can have the ball. And Minnesota United aren't great when they have to carry play like that. It comes down to Reynoso or nothing. And Bongi was the solution to that during Leagues Cup, but he's been injured mostly since then. He was back in this one, and he was active. It wasn't particularly good. There was no Timu Puki. They missed him a lot. Fragapane has not been great. Mender Garcia has not been great. And it still just ends up being Reynoso or nothing.
All right, there you go. On the flip side for the Revs, big news breaking right after the conclusion of this game. Some had broken during the game. You can read all the Athletic reporting on Bruce Arena resigning as the manager, sporting director of the New England Revolution. Arena, of course, had been under administrative leave and under a league investigation for over a month for alleged inappropriate remarks. The Revs put out a statement. New England Revolution have accepted the resignation of Bruce Arena. We wish Bruce well and thank him for his contributions to the team. Kurt Analfo will continue to serve as interim sporting director, and Richie Williams will continue to serve as interim head coach as the team prepares to close out the 2023 season. MLS also issued a statement on Bruce Arena's resignation. It was announced earlier this evening that Bruce Arena has resigned as the sporting director and head coach of the Revs. Arena was placed on administrative leave on July 30th, pending a review into allegations that he made insensitive and inappropriate remarks as a result of the investigation, which confirmed certain of these allegations. Should Arena wish to pursue future employment within MLS, he must first submit a petition to the commissioner. Arena also had a statement that he put out, quote, I know that I've made some mistakes. Moving forward, I plan to spend some time reflecting on this situation and taking corrective steps to address what has transpired. And while this has not been an easy decision, I am confident that it is in the best interest of both the Revs organization and my family that we part ways at this time. Arena joined the club in May of 2019, had obviously a very good record with the Revs, set a points record, and won a supporters shield, and is no longer the manager and sporting director of the New England Revolution. So let's focus this one on the field. Perhaps more will come out in the days, weeks, months ahead. Where do the Revs go from here on the field? They're second in the Eastern Conference, but not exactly convincing. And part of the success that Bruce and all these players and the staff have ushered in is that players were sold. So there's been a significant amount of turnover, especially in the most high-profile positions. Are they the second best team in the East? Are they an MLS Cup threat as constructed, as currently playing?
I think it's hard to say that they're an MLS Cup threat because I think they're very similar at their best or overall to the team in 2021, which set a points record and then lost their first playoff game. Like they don't have the same holes. They still have holes defensively, and they still rely on individual talent offensively. There's not a ton of guaranteed chances they're going to create because of their game model. So, as you said, with Sales, the names change. There's quality there. Chancalay, 2 goals last game. Hit the upper 90 in this game from a moment very Gustavo Bo-esque of like just find space on the left, works 1v1, creates his own chance. If Carlos Gil's healthy, they have a chance in every single game. If Veroni's scoring goals off Carlos Gil chances, they've got a chance in every game. But when you look at on the back end of this one, even only giving up the late goal, Earl Edwards, big mistake in this one. Omar Gonzalez has to clear a ball off the line. You don't have Andrew Farrell, who hasn't played at his level. Now Brandon Bye's out. DeJuan Jones has moved around. Polster's playing right back.
It's nonsensical to me.
Yeah.
It's nonsensical.
Well, fair. It feels like there's a lot of issues in that team where it could fall apart for them. And you mentioned the win-loss record over the last 4 years. Outside of 2021, they've been bad. Like 2022 was a train wreck for the Revs. In 2019, obviously you changed coach mid-season, but they only got to the first round of the playoffs. They were not one of the better teams. So it could fall apart quickly is what I'm saying. I don't think it will. I think they'll make the postseason, but I would be surprised if they made a run.
Yeah, the ceiling is obviously lower when Georgi Petrovic was sold. Like, that's obvious. Best goalkeeper in the league. We'll see what the new goalkeeper looks like. Again, guys like Earl Edwards is not a match winner, is not somebody who's going to, positively change the outlook for their ceiling going into the playoffs. There's a lot more questions than there were 6-8 weeks ago, right? Because, in the meantime, Brandon Byes got hurt. I was just saying, like, I don't know why you would play Matt Polster anywhere but defensive mid. Like, the Polster-Buck combo in central mid has been one of their strengths this year. It's nonsensical to me to break that up unless that one of the players are unavailable. So I get it. There's no good solution because of Brandon Byes being injured. You have to chop and change, figure out you can put Jones on the left or the right. I just think that you need to start there with this team, and the lineup decisions haven't been concurrent with that. I think that there are too many question marks to take them like as super seriously as a team that can be legit contenders. We were talking a month ago, like, hey, do you think that New England can make the Shield race, or is it over for Cincy? Like, we were talking about them like that. And now, like, I don't know. I look at the Eastern Conference. I would have more faith in Orlando, Philly, Columbus, Nashville, probably Atlanta. Like, Miami, obviously, when they get in. Like, New England are second in the East, and that's I think that. And
I would add to this, Philly and Columbus are both teams where if you went into a playoff game and you said X big piece is missing, they have ways to cover for it. Where I think the Revs have pieces that they just they can't cover for.
To be fair to the Revs, they did a good job scrambling to replace Barrero, which was they lost a match winner right off the bat this year, and Shankali has been good. Nacho Gil was supposed to be a big part of them this year. He's only just getting healthy now, and obviously he's playing a bigger role. So they've done really good work, whoever it was calling the shots in terms of player signings. Like, this is a deep and good roster. I agree with you that the Revs are at their best with Matt Polsters in defensive midfield. But if you have Mark Anthony Kaye and Ian Harkes, who's been very good since returning from Scotland, and you have no real backup right back, Polster's a really good right back.
Yeah, fair enough.
So I kind of get it, and I think they have done good work all year long patching the holes. But do I no, I don't think this team right now, their first round opponent would be Nashville, and two of those games, because it's 3-game first round, 2 of those games would be in Foxborough, where the Revs are unbeaten.
Only team without a loss at home this year. Plus 20 goal differential.
I would still take Nashville as favorites in that round. I think that's where I think the Revs are closer to 7th, 8th, 9th in maybe 6th, 7th, 8th in the Eastern Conference than they are to where right now they're second in the standings.
So the only thing I agree with you on the work they've done, they've replaced, obviously in goal, unbelievable. They've replaced players. They have not been able to figure out center back. That's been the one position where they got a great season from Andrew Farrell when they won.
They've given up 32 goals this year.
But you're going to trust Omar Gonzalez and Dave Romney as your center backs? So
I'm not.
Last year they lost CCL because Omar Gonzalez he's not the same player. That's not his fault.
That's fine. But what I'm saying is, like, they went out and they got Dave Romney in the offseason, and Kessler's been hurt most of the year, and Farrell's been hurt most of the year, and they've still only given up 32 goals. Granted, a lot of that was Georgi Petrovic, but like this is not a disaster of a team like what we saw last year in CCL. They haven't been yet.
Okay.
I don't
disagree with you. I don't really know where my point laid, so I was fine with it and I was ready to move on. But bowling guy over here wasn't going anywhere.
It's also worth it. Like, I think they held on to Gustavo Bo 1 year too long, right? Yeah. Like this would have been a good year in January to say, all right, let's make sure let's do 1 year too soon rather than 1 year too late.
The problem with 1 year too soon for them is when you're moving Buxa and
right. I don't have a problem with that.
Canadian international winger.
Tejan, who, by the way, just got hurt too. I didn't have a problem with the Bo one because it sounded like they were just letting this thing run out.
Yeah.
Like they were just letting the contract run out, and Shankali is basically the replacement, right?
Yeah, if they pick up his purchase.
Yeah, I mean, and he's showing right now that probably that's a good idea. Now there's some overlap with Barrero
if they go
as well, but
yeah, I was gonna say if they go into next year with Shankali, Barrero, and Nacho Gil as your wingers, and Carlos Gil is still your number 10, and Vironi maybe is your number 9, or you go in a different direction, especially if Bo is out of contract.
Yes.
Yeah.
The Revs are going to be, for a variety of reasons now, unfortunately, the Revs are going to be one of the most fascinating teams to watch in this offseason. I just don't think they're going to be that fascinating to watch in the postseason.
Carlos Gil is still must-watch TV, so that's it. Like, you gotta.
He might be the best player in the league, Carlos Gil. So if he's healthy, I'll buy it, and if they have home field, I'll buy it as well.
I was surprised we did like a straw poll, MVP as of now, right? Vote. That was what we just did last week. No one was paying attention. I was surprised how few ballots Gil was on. Maybe this is why.
Yeah.
But I was surprised how few ballots
I was
on.
Yeah, I was on vacation.
Okay.
Otherwise, Gil was.
I hadn't heard.
Bi-weekly vacation.
Former villain, right? Your
Oh
beloved
my
Aston
gosh.
Villa.
Yeah. All right.
Come on, you villain boy.
I don't know if
Come
that's
on,
right.
you squad.
It's the Danny Musovski segment here. What is the Danny Musovski segment, Tom?
Yeah, so Danny Musovski has not been in the Real Salt Lake match day squad the last 2 games. He's currently not training with the full team. This is not a coach's decision. This is a player's decision. Musovski's out of contract in the winter. My understanding is when he was traded to Real Salt Lake and there were other teams trying to trade for him, and LAFC worked with him as part of this. And as part of the trade, it was we envision something here long term. We envision, would he want to be here long term too, kind of thing. So there was parameters for we'll probably do a new long term contract extension for the future. That has not happened yet. And his camp believed that the club have kind of gone back on promises or outlines and stuff. And again, Musovski is not thrilled about it, and that's why I think it needs to be explained why their leading scorer hasn't been in the matchday squad.
9 goals, 5 assists in 1,500 minutes across all competitions. I thought he was very good in Leagues Cup, and he has been consistently a goal scorer, a provider of box score stats.
100% he has.
In MLS. I think he had...
Domino.
Yeah. I was like, what are you saying?
I just feel like we've been saying this for a long time. We're somebody should play Danny Musovski more.
There's the 5th time this show that Wiebe has stared and pointed at Goss, and Goss has had no idea what's going on.
I don't know what's going on.
I'm back.
Yeah.
Sorry, go on.
He's back in the saddle.
He had 13 goals, 6 assists in 2,200 minutes for LAFC for a couple of years. His stats in from USL Championship were just off the charts, and again, 9 goals, 5 assists in 1,500 minutes for ours. This is a starting caliber.
The Running Rebels.
I will just say, I think calling him the leading scorer is fair. I think it's a bit of a misnomer because Arango joined midway and Damir Kreilach started the year hurt. There's a world in which RSL doesn't start Musovski as one of their 2 forwards, not because
but
of
this
an
is
outside
also
thing.
This is also like the Nico Gioacchini thing, where he got his chance because the other guy got hurt, and he took his chance. And oh, by the way, the underlying numbers and what he had done with LAFC, where he scored goals anytime. This is look. If RSL aren't going to make him whole, which is weird to me because this is the exact type of profile guy that you want if you're going to challenge for this is a guy who's going to have significant interest in free agency.
There's also context.
There is interest.
Can I put some context on this? Because if you just go to the MLS Players Union salary guide here, Danny Musovski's number is $98,000. To put that in perspective, Rubio Rubin's number, just another RSL forward, $600,000.
So the Rubin thing, though, is a different ownership group.
Yeah.
He got the contract off the goals he scored 2 years ago, which I think was a mistake, and I think they would say was a mistake, which then the question becomes, if they re-sign Musovski, they still have Kreilach, Arango's a DP. I think Anderson Julio is a guy you keep because he's good at his role, which should be as a super sub.
Yeah.
That's 5 center forwards. Probably a Rubin or Musovski would have to go.
Yeah, I think that's an easy choice.
Not if no one wants Rubin on 600,000 to not score goals right now. I don't disagree with you. I would want more talent and figure it out than not have talent, especially with Carlock's injury history and
age.
Yeah.
Yeah, the context I'm just saying is if you're Danny Musovski, you were told, you're like, oh, what?
Yeah.
Anderson Julio as a super sub, not producing as much as you, is making $750 to $850. I could see how he would be like, this ain't it for me. Even Michael Chang is making double what he's making. I like Michael Chang, but like,
Yeah.
Tom's got to check his.
No, I was like, what?
Andrew Brody's tripling him up. Like,
Oh, come on,
player.
Broads.
yeah, Brody.
Yeah, Broad's
that's
putting up
right.
numbers.
Well, yeah, no. So yeah, that's kind of where it stands right now. And your point about ownership, one of the bits that I've heard is it's more of an ownership thing than like again, Pablo Mastroeni likes him, and obviously as much as he's played him, and Danny Musovski really likes playing for Pablo Mastroeni. It's not necessarily a front office thing, just from the bits I've gotten out of this. So it's, I don't know, it's interesting.
Okay.
Just think about it. Like Raul Ruiz could be gone. Jeremy Abobasi could be gone. Brandon Vasquez could be gone. Julian Carranza could be gone. Dante Van Zier could be gone. Like there are a lot of teams that
Sebastian Ferreira will be
and
gone.
Sebastian Ferreira.
Well,
I mean,
should be. We
yeah,
don't know.
yeah.
He's already sort of gone.
I mean, and Corey Barrett is another one who's going to
Sure.
be entering free agency, I believe.
Yeah.
Can I throw this out there? A free agency, obviously the rules matter for Danny Musovski, given his current compensation. He needs to sign an extension to be able to get the numbers that he wants, right? Otherwise, he's got a cap on his raise, no?
Oh, that's a good point.
So he needs that. It's not just about being made whole. Like, otherwise, in free agency, he's not going to be able to garner what he thinks he is worth based on his production. So either he needs RSL to do what they said they were going to do, or to be traded and signed to an extension by a team that he's on. Maybe I'm wrong about that. We don't know. The four people.
Glad you brought it up, though. It made us look better.
Yeah, the four people in the world I would expect to know.
Yeah.
But that's
think
the
that's.
math, right?
I think at his number, I don't think that's as true. Like Brian White went up to 800,000.
That was a trade.
Right.
No,
right.
but once he got there, but
Yeah, but
then
he was- they can
resigned.
resign him
Oh,
to any
true.
So
true.
yeah. So I mean, like they could trade his rights or
Yeah.
whatever. I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
how it works,
Yeah.
maybe. I don't know.
Just, I don't know. Well, anyway, Efra Alvarez was sold to
Good that
Club
we was
Tijuana.
back. It feels good.
Yeah. Efra Alvarez was sold to Tijuana for $2.2 million. That seems like a great bit of business for the Galaxy.
Unbelievable.
That is mind blowing.
Unbelievable.
Did they accidentally tack on a zero? Did they accidentally tack on 2 zeros?
We've heard this move that Efra was going to Liga MX for 2 years now. I
Yeah.
think. And I think he thought he was for 2 years now. Hadn't always been TJ, but this is a massive move, as you said, for the Galaxy to get something. He will, if he does not make it, be one of those players.
Yeah.
Where like the talent's absurd. And everyone who has seen him talks about it. Obviously, the Zlatan stuff with, how much he loved his game stands out. But like every time you watched him play, he had stopped. I don't know that he ever became a useful professional, but he was unplayable for the last 2 years. I think we did a segment. I remember doing a preview where you were like, who's that 22 under 22 player for the Galaxy? And I said Cameron Dunbar, and you were like, what are you doing, dude? It's Efra. And I was like, I'm already like, this guy.
He
sold the stock.
hit that banger against Charlotte at the start of last year.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh, okay.
Well,
Maybe
That,
this
but
is
that was
what
like
he
the
needs.
third year in a row, or like this year it's been cleared out for him to be a starter with the Galaxy.
And the narrative was the same every year, which is like he figured it out. He's acting more professional.
Yeah.
He's on top of it. Then he had some decent performances to start the season.
And to your point, there wasn't like a ton of pressure on his spot, and he still couldn't hold it year after year because he just underperformed. If he wasn't the best player in the game and scoring, he was not playable. And that's not an acceptable way unless you're going to be Messi.
Yeah, and he had played, I think, one game since like June for the Galaxy or something like that in the league, and like he was clearly like Vanny was out on him, like couldn't trust him, all this stuff. Like it's unfortunate, man. Like some players don't ever make it, and like
wanted it to happen.
It's unfair to like be like, yeah, Barcelona were seriously looking at him at the U17 World Cup, like them and a bunch of other big clubs in Europe. Like they were like, wow, this is one of the kids who has like a chance to be really special. His talent, his technical ability and talent were elite. He scored 12 goals in his age 15 season in the USL Championship with the Galaxy too. He has not gone up at all since then. It's like he's still only 21 years old. Like it feels like he's been in our lives forever. Like I didn't even know that he was going to be 22 under 22 eligible this year. It's like he can't be. He's been on the ballot for 7 years. Like how is this possible? So look, I mean, I gave up a while ago, kind of, because I think, Doyle, we've had conversations like this where one of the things you learned is like, look, I'm not going to trust any players that are super technical but can't impact the game whatsoever with physically.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've kind of been out for a while, and I hope that he proves it wrong. I think Liga MX would be a better fit than MLS. Like not being able to impact the game physically is really difficult in MLS, and with so much transition and so much athleticism in this league. I don't think it's going to happen for him at Jolos, but like he needed this.
Piojo really wanted him, right? So
Clearly.
I'll say that I did not hear a glowing review from his first few days in training in Tijuana.
Let's just put a bow on it and just say that I hope that things turn around.
No, I think we have to mention one other thing, which is like a lot of this is also on the Galaxy.
Yeah, that's right.
Is not just on the player. This is part of building a pipeline, is having processes in place to be able to help players professionalize and change, and having a system. The Galaxy have wasted one of the talent-rich areas in the world.
Yep.
And this is $2.2 million is great. Similar we said with Jaden Nelson when TFC sold him of like, oh, you got $1 million. That's not a world we were in 10 years ago of like, oh, you can't get a guy to play for your first team. You're going to get millions of dollars for them. But this is part of a larger problem, which is like Julian Araujo's the one success did not come through the LA Galaxy Academy. So they've tried to work on things. They're saying they're fixing things.
Mark Delgado is the one success. He came through the Chivas USA Academy.
Chelsea's Zornis erasure.
It's a massive problem. It's one of the reasons the Galaxy are not the club they were 10 years ago. Whereas the league has changed. They did not.
Jack McBean era.
Yeah.
Classic.
All right, let's rapid fire.
Could have pointed at me on that one.
I know. I've been away, man. I've been away. Who else I can't like turn to my wife and be like the Jack McBean era and her be like, shut
but he
up.
still does.
Yeah, shut up. Anyway. Stop talking. But rapid fire here. We'll get out of here. Big takeaways from U.S. A win over Uzbekistan. 1 goal in the 4th minute. Timothy Weah. Then they waited. Pepe and Pulisic, I think, to make it 3-0.
Yep. I don't think you
just handle this.
There shouldn't be any big takeaways from this game. I like the Luca De La Torre as a pitch controlling number 6 experiment. I thought the U.S. were really quite good in the first 30 minutes until he came off with a broken nose. Flo Balogun looked a little bit rusty, but he'll be excellent once he starts getting minutes from Monaco. Christian Pulisic spent the entire game looking like a guy trying to unlock his front door with his car keys. It was not a very good game from Christian Pulisic, but I don't care. It's a friendly against Uzbekistan. What else? I like Anthony Robinson. I think he's a starter for the U.S. against almost everyone, but against a team playing with 5 at the back, bunkering in, he doesn't really add a ton. So I'm hoping that we get more experiments at left back. Whether it's the kid Lund that came in at the end there. Kevin Paredes is on this roster, listed as a left back. I'm still super high on Kevin Paredes. I wish he had gone anywhere other than Wolfsburg, man. Like one of the worst developmental clubs in Germany. But it's a friendly in September following a World Cup. It's not anything. Like everybody needs it. Oh, Tanner Tessman was terrible after we had called for his inclusion. It's a friendly. He's still a young player, still kind of learning that position, and certainly learning the position in Berhalter's system. Everyone back off the ledge. They won 3-0. They'll win at least 3-0 on Tuesday against Oman. Everything is going to be okay.
That was reassuring. I felt that.
I need the everything is going to be okay speech daily from you, please. Starting from now. Just need voice memos from you. Everything's gonna be
at
okay.
least on Monday.
You're a Giants
morning.
You're a Giants fan. Mm-hmm. Things are not going to be okay for you, my friend.
Shout out to Robert Shearer.
Do we want to talk about Jalen Brunson going minus 19
and Nancy
20
Pierce,
minutes?
who sent very good emails into the mailbag.
FIBA semifinals.
But we only have time for this.
The guy watching Jason Tatum get 7th 4 years ago in the World Cup. Jaylen Brown getting bounced from the roster. Is that guy?
Yeah. Gerard hit us up and said in his title, it's a question from when Wiebe gets back, and I am back. Hello, Extra Time. I'm seeking some advice. I have a young son. It was making the mailbag. You knew it was. Who is beginning to enjoy watching soccer games with me, and I'm a little unsure of my role in guiding his MLS fandom. I was born in Chicago, and I'm a lifelong Chicago Fire fan. Salute to Kalen if he's there. Kalen feels this in absentia. My spouse was born in St. Louis, but doesn't really follow the team as a fan. Best fans in soccer, I think not. I added that. We live equidistant between the two cities in Bloomington, Indiana. Encouraging him to be a Fire fan feels irresponsible at this time, but guiding him towards St. Louis City feels weird, despite them looking like a team set up for success. What is the reasoned move here for someone who wants to model positive fandom?
Can I just throw something out here? I don't know how, but I would say go Hoosiers route, take the IU alumni, and then you could be a fan of them. Whoever.
Oh wow, so fan of players. You're a true modern fan.
Or like you let your child, I don't remember.
Son.
Become a fan of a team through, like, you became a whatever fan because of KU. I don't know what your thing is again. I forget. But like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
for a while I was
like
a
you
big
could be a
Charlotte
Houston
fan
Dynamo
because of
fan.
Devontae Graham.
Yeah, you're a Houston Dynamo fan because of Griffin Dorsey. You know what I mean?
Yeah, obviously a huge Toronto Raptors fan.
Yeah.
Right.
Like you're probably El Salvador fan because Eric Zavaleta scored this weekend.
Of course.
If
they lost the TNT though, that was tough.
Doesn't matter, Zavs.
If the son has any sort of connection to watching Chicago Fire's games with his parents, if that's something that they can bond over, you go for it because it's good to learn that life sometimes can be pain. With the Jason Christ quote, you lose more than you win. It's a fact of life.
Messi won't even Messi couldn't make a playoff team in MLS.
You go through these downtimes. You go through these downtimes, and when the winnings come, it makes it even more sweet. You have all these brats who were born in Boston through the Tom Brady, Red Sox, Celtics.
This is a guy
Bruins
who
era.
I think you've celebrated 2 Super Bowls.
No, but I'm saying that there was a lot of.
As a Giants
I'm a Liverpool fan, man. My whole life was.
Don't they win like a
You were
bunch
born
of
in
stuff
New Jersey.
all the time?
So what I'm saying,
he bleeds for the Reds.
Sorry, I mean,
Come on.
Liverpool-
Has he ever walked alone? You've never walked alone. Yeah, don't get in his
that
face.
Liverpool era. This has been so great because I remember all the dog days of Roy Hodgson and insert
weren't
all
you
of the
just
memes.
crapping on Boston? Doesn't Fenway Sports Group own
Yeah.
Liverpool?
I'm saying let the kid learn a little bit of pain sometimes.
Okay, so I would say this. I think it's unfair to be like, oh, not a big St. Louis fan, yet the team's only 1 year old.
That's true.
But if you're going to have a new fan, why would you not connect to something
This
that's
is-
new so you can, like,
You could go 2 routes.
the
Either
child could
you
grow with the team?
Either you, Jared, and this is probably the route I would go. My team's a winner. Go KU. So it's easy for me. I just pull in my boys, and we're all winners.
But Mindy doesn't care.
It doesn't matter. Yeah,
Mindy doesn't have a team.
right. But if she did, they would still be KU fans. If I was you, Jared, I would make your kid a Fire fan because you share it together.
Yeah.
It's memories. It's all these special things over the years. You can hate St. Louis, and you can team up on your wife. Or you could give him the option. It's like, when you see where the kid runs to the wife or to the father.
The dog.
Wouldn't go that route,
Yeah.
personally.
This is wild advice. This is how your house runs?
I think Tom kind of, until he got on the Liverpool thing, which was weird, he kind of had a good point. Like, nothing brings fathers and sons
Yes.
together like generational trauma. Like, David and his father are big Jets
Nice
fans.
Jets shirt over
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gang green over here.
Is that a Jets Untuck It?
Yeah.
I think you make the kid a Fire fan. I think you teach him what pain is.
Yeah.
I went to the
Fire.
IU alumni list, and it's not as
Fire.
impressive as I thought it was going to be.
Olden
Daniel
days.
Mooney got his first
Yeah.
his
he
first
did.
start.
Congrats to Daniel Mooney.
Did he get a red card in that one?
No, that was Tanner Beeson.
That's Tanner Beeson. That's
Tanner Beeson.
Who's a Stanford grad.
right.
Mhm.
That's an impressive.
Shout out
alumni
Bobby
list.
Warsaw.
Well, yeah.
Tough weekend for Stanford as well. If you saw that. We'll go college football, USC.
I don't. Yeah,
No.
no,
Yeah.
I don't.
Go
Some
Jalen.
sports guys.
Go
out here, huh?
Jalen Neal and the Hawks. Yeah, we're just a couple sports guys around here. All right, that's it for us. Sorry for stretching you, Maria. Adios. See you on Wednesday.